editing screen. And what I want to show you is this editing dimensions, because this confused me for a long time. What this does is set the canvas size. You'll see the canvas in a minute. The canvas is a rectangle, and that rectangle becomes your video. And what you need to know is the smaller the canvas, the lower the resolution of the video, but the smaller the file size. And the larger the canvas, the higher the resolution, but the higher the file size. So if you can get away with a smaller file size and lower resolution because you're just doing things on the screen that don't get too blurry, then that's your option. However, if you're showing some detailed software instructions on a computer program, then you might want a larger canvas and get some more detail there. In the short term, I would just go with the default settings. There's a good video on TechSmith's site explaining that. So once you've decided that, press OK. So there's two types of files that Camtasia Studio deals with. One is the recording file called a camrec, and then when we save this project, it's going to be a camproj file called, and I'll call it the same thing, CS School Basics 1 camproj. So on the screen now, we're looking at the Camtasia Studio editor. Here's a quick guide into what we're looking at. The media bin is where all the media is stored for the video. The canvas is where you see the video coming together. And the timeline is where all the editing occurs. Now, the two basic editing tricks a teacher will need in order to get started are, in my opinion, adding a title and chopping stuff out. So we need to be able to add a title, we need to be able to chop stuff out. And that's pretty much all you need to record your first few basic screencasts. So we've got the timeline down the bottom. First thing I'm going to want to do is to put in a title. So I'm just going to slide this media along. So we've got different tracks we can use. At the moment, the initial recording track is on track 1. Doesn't really matter, except the higher tracks are the ones that are in front of the lower tracks. So I want to add a title. I am going to go to the library. So let's go into all polished. You can do an animated title. It's probably a bit over the top. If I bring the title down here, I can increase or decrease the length of it, like so. So if we play that, it's a fade out and a fade in. What I do want to show you is, notice how on the video, we're in the video part here, the video is the same size as the canvas. So the canvas is this black square behind. And so that's perfect. Now the title is a little bit different. So what I would do is click on the title. Notice it's highlighted down here, and just stretch that so as it covers the canvas in the background. And then you can double click on the text and just add your title in there. You can change the color and all that sort of stuff however you want. Alright, so that, you can play around with that. But anyway, at the end of the day, we want a title. So now we've got a title, we've got a fade out, and we want to just do some editing on the video. Now let's say that we want to chop out, and as you just play it, you'll hear what you want to chop out. Now if I want to chop out this section here, I'm just going to drag that green square back, and then go to the scissors and press that, and that bit's gone. And then I might want to chop out this bit. I can either do that forward or with the red button, or I can go back with the green and then chop that out. So you can cut out your bloopers and the things you don't want that way. The other way you might want to edit parts of the timeline out is to highlight where your playhead is, right click and split, or split all. Alright, that makes a split there, and then we might make another split here, and then we might want to just remove that manually. Another thing you might want to do, let's say we want to make a split here. The other way you can do that is to just use split clip on that point. If you want to highlight a number in a row, click independently and hit delete. Really cool trick if you want to just remove a bit of nothing rather than move everything up, which you can do. Rather than doing that, just use either the green or red buttons to highlight the blank space and click the scissors. So there you can see there are two ways of removing bits from the timeline. Another important aspect to editing is the zoom function. Sometimes you want to see all of the project at once, and sometimes you need to zoom in to the detail. So make sure you play around with that. The other thing I haven't mentioned is transitions. Again, I think this is possibly a bit over the top for a school setting. So transitions work on the end of clips. If we wanted to use that one, there's the transition there. You can make it shorter or longer, or delete it. Anyway, you can play with that yourself. Once you've recorded some videos, you probably wanted to go to the next level, which in my opinion is the ability to insert extra video, to insert slides, and to add call-outs, so add arrows and add text to the video, etc. I'm not going to go through that here. There's plenty of tutorials on those sorts of things on the TechSmith site. So in summary there, we've shown you how to add titles and to remove stuff from the timeline. Now let's say this video project is ready to export. Produce and share is the way to export. Rendering a video is the same thing, so we want to produce an MP4 file or a video file. I'm going to assume that you're going to want to access your video off of YouTube. YouTube is great because you can easily embed from there. These options here where it talks about a video player, if you had your own website and your own server, you could upload your video packet to the server and then link to a HTML file, and that's one way of sort of streaming the video over the internet, but that's not what most teachers are going to want to do. I would recommend straight up to YouTube and then accessing it from there. So therefore all we want is the MP4. This is the high resolution, so you can choose that one and go next. I'm going to call it CS School Basics 2 because I've already rendered this before. And then go finish. And so now the project is rendering or exporting. And so we're getting close to having finished. A previewer comes up. Tutorial is going to be which we can close and then just choose finish. Now if we go to our files area, here's the video folder, and inside will be one MP4. That's the file that you would upload to YouTube.